I'm Carrie.
I'm Fred.
This is AO Rewatch.
It's a Portlandia Rewatch podcast. We just watch our episodes, every sketch, and talk about them.
Yeah, it's a look back on Portlandia, and we have a discussion about each episode. Today we are talking about A Song for Portland, which is from season 1.
So this episode, in a way, or I guess technically, was the first episode.
This is the pilot. This is the pilot
Yeah.
we shot. This is what when we pitched this and IFC picked us up for a pilot, this is what we worked on. This is what we wrote. We wrote this in LA at the Universal lot in that dingy writer's room with no desks, no, just chairs arranged in a little circle. It was me, you, Jonathan Kreisel, who's our co-creator, producer and director for the first 2 seasons.
Yep.
This was Allison Silverman, who was from the Colbert Report and a really funny writer. And we had also Jason Mantzoukas in the writer's room with us.
That's right.
Who's a comedian, actor, writer. And yeah, it was pretty fast and furious. I remember the writing for this. It was, and the whole shooting, the whole production was because you were still on SNL. And in fact, you would be for the first couple seasons of Portlandia.
Also, we didn't even know what the show was. But as we were writing it,
No,
we had no idea. We didn't have any reference point.
exactly. And this was before we knew it was going to be called Portlandia, when we were still figuring out what the name would be. We sort of figured out that it would definitely shoot in Portland, which was not a given when we first pitched it. So by now we know we're shooting in Portland. We're starting to assemble a crew up there. We don't have a name. And, we're batting a few ideas back and forth. I remember trying to get permission from Dwayne Sorensen at Stumptown, which is now everyone knows it as Stumptown Coffee. At the time, it was still pretty much just in Portland, maybe also in Brooklyn. And it's also a nickname of Portland. And I remember asking Dwayne, like, would this be cool with you? And he was like, yeah, he wasn't opposed to it.
But we knew so little that we were hopeful too. Like, oh, I hope he says yes.
I know.
This is our ticket to doing the rest of the show.
I know. So it was, everything felt very new. And I felt, it was just all a mystery to me. Like, it was just, I was also, really suffering from major imposter syndrome. I had come from music and my experience with performance was pretty limited to being on stage. I had done a couple acting things, but certainly not improv. I hadn't done sketch, and here I was suddenly with you and John and Jason and Allison. I remember feeling very nervous in the writer's room.
I forgot that would ever be an element.
Oh my God. Yeah, it was shocking. And I still credit Allison to this day. She so I wasn't great at pitching. Fred, you're great at pitching. One, because you often pitch as character, and in character. So you'll pitch a character-based idea and you'll deliver it already so we can imagine it. We hear the character. Not everyone pitches like that. A lot of people just pitch, I was thinking about this or I saw this. And this is when I pitch an observation I have about seeing that there were birds on a bunch of different art everywhere. I just thought, oh God, it's so ubiquitous, and it's this shorthand for art. It's like if you're unsure about what constitutes art or craft, if you just put a bird on it, okay, we get it now. Now it's art. And Allison, that idea sort of just came and went. And I just remember that idea, and then we'll talk about another one later called Did You Read? That Allison she would just say, hey, Carrie had a good idea. I want to just go back to that. And I just remember that so distinctly because I think the way I presented it, it just didn't have that. It just wasn't sharp. It wasn't as coherent as it could have been. And she really was like, I think you're onto something.
Wow. I had no idea that was, you presented it so easily. And by the way, it was our first sketch for Portlandia, and really stood the test of time. And I've seen tattoos that have put a bird on it. People will sometimes ask me to put birds on things, to draw something on it. And the idea was very immediately understandable. And I remember you came up with this idea, put a bird on it. And I thought, oh, yeah, that's right. People are such dummies. They do that all the time. And then I went home and my own doormat that I bought was a crow, like, or whatever, like a sort of black bird, like a raven or something. And I was just as much a fool as anybody. I'm like, oh, right. I bought into this without even thinking about it, thinking, hey, this is a cool doormat.
Right. It's classic. It's beautiful. It's timeless. It's a bird. Yeah.
You know, my own cool version of like, well, this is a blackbird.
An edgy bird.
A little edgy.
Wearing a little leather jacket.
But so I was, just as much, which kind of like was a through line of the entire series, that like all the things that we focus on are actually things that we are guilty of, that we all do.
Of course, we're just exploring like our own like proclivities and tendencies or habits. So, yeah, I think that was something from the beginning. Like we quickly, I think as time went on, we were better at this, but it was always like, is this something that I understand? Is this something where we're not just looking at someone else and thinking, oh, you're silly or you're foolish? It's like, how does this thing that I love or enjoy or even think about make me a little silly? And how can I explore that? So we were less making fun of other people and more just poking fun at ourselves.
Yeah.
So this becomes the opening sketch, which until, and we talk about with, in the first episode of the podcast, that Dream of the 90s ends up being the pilot episode. At the beginning, this would have been like the cold open of the pilot. And when I watch this episode, I see it as the pilot. There are things throughout. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we didn't have this yet. So we shot this episode. We waited for IFC to decide whether they would pick us up to series, which, by the way, was a very expedited situation. This can often languish. But because you were heading back to SNL, we needed them to decide if they wanted us to shoot that summer before you had to go back. It was a very quick pickup. But in that time, we made some adjustments. So when I watched this episode, again, originally the pilot is a little confusing. I see like Tony's glasses. We'll get to that. Feminist bookstore glasses. They are terrible. You can't even see my eyes. Like the wigs are a little different. Like I can see the pilot in this show, in this episode.
And I think our voices are a little different.
Yeah.
We do Nina and Lance. We'll talk about that. But I could hear like how we made it didn't occur to us that they would be repeat characters. We were just like, we'll just do these characters. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
And the other thing, and we'll get to this too, is like some of these ideas come from, the other thing is that some of these ideas and characters predate Portlandia. It's stuff that you and I were doing in the project we called Thunder and, when we were just making videos for each other, for our friends. So yeah, this is a real grab bag of like, it's sort of what we brought with us in terms of Portlandia and then still figuring it out. And I would say, as we watch this whole first season, I really see us figuring stuff out. I see us settling on things that would become a fulcrum for like all 8 seasons. And I see us hashing out ideas that we then discard.
Yes.
So we open on, put a bird on it. And I just remember shooting on Mississippi Avenue with Katie O'Grady. Mm-hmm. She plays the shop owner, and we play Bryce and Lisa.
And I remember Jonathan Kreisel, our director, explaining to us how this was going to work. Because in a way, it is kind of abstract. Yes. There's not really, in the editing, there's a beginning, middle, and end. But this is more like kind of an ad.
It's presentational.
But, it's just that there's something there's no chronology to it.
Yes, it's not necessarily a little storyline. And he really thought of it as more of a commercial or something that, it was a little more stylized and heightened, I think, than some of the other sketches. And we didn't really realize that going in. I mean, again, there's the outline for the sketch. There's a little bit of dialogue. This is when we were in full improv mode, though. And so it wasn't really until we show up on set and we get a sense of like, oh my gosh, this is what John has imagined for this.
But we never say like, there's no part of it that is a remotely like an ad in that we don't say we are a company, call
No.
this number, or we'll do this on
No.
your boat. It is just, it's like in the middle somewhere.
Right. But there's some 2 camera elements.
Yes.
Yeah. And 2 things came out of this sketch that I think informed how we worked going forward. One is we realized that we needed a dynamic between Bryce and Lisa, that it couldn't just be the same beat of us talking about putting birds on things. And there's a moment where Lisa, my character, blows something, like she's blowing something off a bird, and the dust gets in your eye. And Bryce suddenly becomes this very finicky, like very sensitive, but there's just a little tinge of anger there. And you can see suddenly it becomes about their dynamic. And that was very important. Like before that, there was no there. Like that just wasn't grounded in character, which I think we realized very quickly that our best sketches, the ones that would last, would be grounded in character and in a dynamic that we could continue to play on for the rest of the show. And I think if we hadn't done that, I don't know how much we would have come back to Bryce and Lisa. But now I was like, oh, okay, I see who they are. Like there's this way they connect. Obviously, they're like very fastidious, they have this sort of ideas about aesthetics, but there's ways that they differ and diverge from each other, and you can just see a little tension there, and that conflict is good.
But I always had to be reminded. It was this thing that happened to me on set all the time. Like we need a dynamic, and I always forgot. But I adhered to it. I was like, of course, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I always forgot, like, that's right. We're supposed to actually engage in that way.
Yeah. And that was, I think, it sounds small, but it was kind of a revelation, and something we, employed as best we could. And with all the characters that were lasting and recurrent, we definitely built out this dynamic, starting with something really small. And then for me, the thing that was really, really scary was this is the first moment. And I don't think we shot this the first day. But all the sketches so far had been you and I in every scene. So it's like, even though I felt a little bit out of my element, it was like, okay, here we go. It's Fred and I, we've got each other. I felt very supported. And because of the presentational nature of this sketch, there's a moment where I just had to stand in front of this like card rack, essentially like this like display rack of like cards. And it was like my turn to go. It was like, I'm supposed to do a run of something. And I've like seen you do that. Like I know what they're talking about, but it was the first time that it was like, you are not in the scene with me. And I was just supposed to do a run, like off the top of my head, extemporizing, just riffing on this thing. And I remember the development producer, the guy at IFC who had sort of brought our show in and like was championing us. I just remember him standing right in front of me in my eye line, along with Jonathan, the director. And I just thought, I'm going to fail. Like, this is when everybody's going to see that I can't do this. Like, I'm not meant to do this. And I was horrified in the moment. And I pulled it off. I did it. But there was just this moment where I just thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to be exposed as this absolute fraud. And it was really, really scary. And then I feel like once I got through that, I knew I was okay. But it was really when I was just by myself that I thought, oh, sure. When I'm with Fred, I guess it's probably just Fred. And it took me, this whole episode, I think, to really feel like, to find myself within these characters within the show. There were just little moments where I really felt vulnerable.
I didn't know that.
Well, I'm letting you know now.
Yeah. And what were the lines? Like, was it when you're saying like,
I'll put a bird.
Is it like, I'm going to put a bird on this card or something like that? Or is it specific?
Yeah, it's just that it's like I'm looking at the little card and I'm, saying like, I'm going to, Like, look at this card, it's so blank. Oh, look, let's
Oh,
put a
that's
bird on,
right.
you
That's
know.
right. Yeah.
And it's just, it's not even like, it's not for big laughs. It's literally just, fleshing out the story. But it wasn't in the script. I didn't have a series of lines to say. Like, it just had to be things off the top of my head that had to be, clever and funny and push the narrative forward. And I just thought, I hope I'm capable of this.
Well, it turned out you were.
Well, I'm glad it
more.
worked out. And then the other crazy thing about this sketch is that the button, which I do really love, is that an actual bird flies into the store.
Yeah.
In this case, a pigeon. And of course, these two people who are obsessed with birds, and as long as they don't smell or move, or basically as long as they're not sentient, once like confronted with a real life bird, are absolutely disgusted.
Yes.
Yeah, and
I think they're even saying we're like, ew.
yeah. So this bird flies in, and I mean, we kill it, and if we fake kill it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And Katie O'Grady goes on to be in many sketches.
Yeah.
The rest of the seasons.
Yeah.
Before we continue, also, one thing we were talking about before we started doing this is that we wanted to wear uniforms or a version of a uniform.
How are we doing on that?
And the type of jacket that I have right now, I have multiples of these in different colors. And so I like, it's a sort of coat that could
Is
be
it like a
shirt.
French painter's coat? Is that what?
Yeah,
okay.
something like that.
A shop jacket?
Yeah, I've seen them called chore coats.
What chore coat? God, what a name. Yeah. For all those chores that the people wearing them are doing.
Like, if I was actually running chores, what chore needs this kind of pocket and also this kind of button? I'm going to run chores today. Bleep, bleep.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like we have sort of a beige palette.
We have a beige palette today.
But
yeah, I think it's something to consider. And I just don't want anyone in the audience to be shocked if we eventually settle on a uniform. I don't want you to be disappointed either, but I don't want you to be shocked because it's really kind of our dream. I like the idea of waking up and not having to make a decision about what I'm going to wear. When I'm at home, I often wear the same thing every day.
Yeah.
If I'm just like writing, I'm just like, get up. I mean, clean socks and underwear, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But everything else,
same.
Just put it on, get to work.
I went through a period of wearing jumpsuits. I do like jumpsuits very much. And then I thought of them
like a flight suit, kind of like.
Yeah, just kind of a onesie.
How do you feel about the bathroom with that? I find it cumbersome. You are at least if you're sitting on the toilet, you are naked. It's it's pooling on the ground. So if you're in a public restroom, that thing
is like a parachute.
Yeah, it's one with the floor. It's mopping the floor. And then you put it back on your body, which I find a little unsavory.
Well, my decision making with that is that I go to the bathroom once in the morning. And then I wait till the next day. I just tell my body, like, today's not the day for indulging this little.
I go a step further. I go and I stock up on antibiotics at the doctor. And I just say, UTI, come at me.
Yeah.
And I let it happen. And then I just pop those antibiotics and then it's good. It's worth it.
For the look.
It's worth it for the look. Anyway, that's the reason I don't wear those. But
I remember thinking that like jumpsuits would be a sort of good band uniform. Aside from like the bands that we know, like those Devo or their versions of them. But I've been finding that it's a move. I see it often enough that I'm like, it wouldn't be that original. I thought like for like stand up, I should always wear a jumpsuit. And I just see it enough that I'm like, I think it's kind of like, there's something about it that no longer feels original.
Yeah, right. Aside from, the Devo of it all, I guess I sometimes will see a band, or if it's the kind of band where there's like an obvious front person, or even like the band is essentially a front person or one person that has then like backing players, they'll often put the backing band in a jumpsuit. Yeah. And that kind of, I don't love it. I think it's also, despite how it's sort of presented, it's not the most flattering thing on everyone. Like it's just not, it's a strange shape to throw on a body.
Well, maybe because of the way they're designed.
Yeah,
It
they're
just
designed
doesn't
with like it's
utilitarian.
it's very utilitarian, but
Yeah.
that's not going to work for everyone. I think it's better if people have a little bit of are more individualized with their clothing.
Yeah.
So if you're pitching this, I'm shooting it down.
It's shot down.
Okay. But I like the chore coat.
But I I'm
hate
partial to them, but I
it's
hate the name.
It's like we never use that
What a terrible.
chore coat.
Who?
It's condescending because it's like what chore? Literally, I want it. Next time I see someone in that chore coat, I'm going to ask what kind of chores they've been doing today.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
also, I'm sure that blue jeans are like, excuse me, we're the chore clothing. Don't start applying it to everything else.
Yeah. Okay.
It's rude. It's rude. It's rude to other clothing
Yeah.
to call it a chore coat.
Yeah. It's like, but cargo pants are back in too. They have a lot of extra pockets.
Oh yeah, those are good for that.
Yeah. But I mean, do you ever carry a hammer when you're wearing those?
No.
Right. Okay. All right. So that's sketch number one.
That's sketch number
Oh,
one
gosh.
in a really big way.
In a
Like,
big way. But
let-
it is kind of, it was a big deal.
Like
Like it
Yeah.
also because we thought it was the pilot. Like it's hard to really separate how much we thought that was the pilot.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is an idea, the wraparound. So, as we talked about in the first episode of the pilot, there's the cold open and then there's the wraparound, which is a 3-part sketch, beginning, middle, end. They often start grounded, get a little, elevated, a little weird, and then sort of take hopefully a surprising left turn, get a little absurd or surreal at the end. That's usually the trajectory.
Yeah.
So this one is a song for Portland, which is kind of an idea that you and I did in one of our Thunder Ant things where we are sending song ideas back and forth
Yes.
over the phone.
Yes.
This is also the introduction of Kyle MacLachlan as the mayor.
I mean, a huge, major part of the show.
And we would not necessarily have known that. Kyle comes in. I remember Andrew Singer, our executive producer. I think did he pitch Kyle? Who pitched Kyle?
I thought John did because of Twin Peaks.
Okay. Oh, you're right. You're right.
But you know how your memory gets clouded as to what
Yeah.
and what you were intending. But I remember, for some reason, I think of John saying, "We need someone like
Kyle,
Kyle
right.
MacLachlan."
Yeah. Because I think once we realized we were going to be shooting in Portland and we were thinking of how Portland and the Pacific Northwest has a very specific look. It's verdant. There's so many iterations of green. There's so many iterations of gray. It feels different. It looks different. And there's no one like David Lynch and what he did with Twin Peaks that, has really, he just captured that palette in a way that's, it's very evocative and indelible. And Kyle, of course, was not only the face of that show, but he's from the Pacific Northwest. So he grew up in Yakima, which is in central Washington. He went to University of Washington, Seattle. So he just has all these connections to the Northwest. So I think you're right that we just thought he's the right kind of person. There's this sort of verisimilitude, of course he exists. He already exists in this world. And I think, and John was so good at this, is thinking about how associations that an audience makes, right? If you're building out this world and you're thinking of a mythic version of Portland, a Portland that's not exactly Portland, it's a stand-in, then you can kind of pull from all of this other Pacific Northwest mythology. And Twin Peaks would be within that universe. So we bring Kyle in as sort of a nod to that. But what was so amazing was that he said yes, because he definitely didn't know me. He knew who you were because you're on SNL. Everyone knew Lorne Michaels, who was our executive producer. So he was curious enough to come in. But I just remember we show up to that office, again, a very threadbare office. I feel like there wasn't even art on the wall. It felt
Right,
so ad hoc. Doesn't bring an agent or entourage or assistant. It's just, he's just sitting there and and he's immediately the most down to earth, friendliest person.
And positive. When you could tell someone's a
Yes.
positive person.
And I remember at the time him saying, he had obviously come from Lynch's world. He had done all these amazing films, Blue Velvet, of course, the Twin Peaks series. And then he had been on Desperate Housewives and Sex and the City, both of which he was proud of. But I think he was really like longing to do something that was weirder. Like that is definitely in Kyle's DNA. Like, I mean, he was so like, the Lynch years were so formative for him. They continued to have friendship up until David Lynch sadly passed away. But like, this was like, he sort of helped Kyle like come into his like artistic, own. Like that's who shaped him. And I just remember Kyle really wanting to do something that just felt strange again and sort of cool. And he just was willing to take that risk, which we were just so grateful for. Because I can't think of anyone else now that could have done this.
No. And the tone was exactly right.
Yeah.
It was weird, but he, at the same time, really normal. He was normal throughout.
Normal throughout as a person, collaborator, as a friend.
Performance-wise.
But always was able to sort of inject, I think, into scenes like something that just felt like it was coming from somewhere a little like alien or a little off. Like he was willing to play with reality in that way.
Yeah.
And to just kind of force you to, not be able to just you're like, okay, this is just skewed slightly. It's just veering slightly off the track. There's just this vibration here that's not just earthbound.
Yeah.
And I love that about him. And in this first scene, you kind of see that, like how he portrays, this is his take on the mayor, and he very much stuck with this. He found this character right away and stuck with it.
Yeah.
And only kind of got weirder, but he definitely, it was grounded.
It kind of stays the same from this pilot. That was the character right away.
He's on that like ball instead of a chair. I remember him asking for that. He has a weird grudge against Seattle as Portland's mayor. He's always like sort of disparaging Seattle, very competitive with them, kind of for no reason.
Yeah. But I feel like cities do that all the time. They just
cities do that. But like it was, he really in this scene, he's like talking about. He keeps saying, "Don't make it like Seattle. Don't make it like Seattle." Yeah.
And very much like a sort of pilot idea, very simple of, us trying to come up with music for the city.
But the characters of Fred and Carrie here, we it's introduced that we actually don't know him. We're sort of coming to meet him.
Oh, right.
For the first time. Like this is before we're friends. We're just like, we're very excited to meet him.
Yeah.
Ostensibly, he's a popular mayor. We're eager to help out.
Yeah.
And he's, he sort of brings us into his world, which then, of course, we kind of become like aides to the mayor. Like we're, but at this point, it's just sort of a new idea. And so he sends us out to make a song for Portland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the first part.
Yeah.
Should we go to the second sketch?
Yeah.
So, bicycle rights. This is the bike messenger-ish kind of, bike person who's like, almost, there's like a military like fervor to like how he feels about being on a bike. I'm on a bike.
Fixie bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know this person.
Yeah.
He is based on someone I knew in Chicago named Todd, who I worked at the Chicago Cultural Center.
Okay.
And I'd take the train in, and he would ride his bike, and he would tell stories about how horrible it was getting to work, and that even at the building, they wouldn't let him take the bike up this one elevator. And when he came in, he would always kind of throw down his bike from how bad his trip was.
Right.
Like, and so it's kind of based on that. And I think over the years, and also a little based on this other friend of mine, Craig. I know it's saying these names is like almost feels meaningless, but to me it's important in that I'm like they are based on people. And I remember shooting that was just all through the streets, and John's style of we'll just get a lot of footage and then we'll put it all together and edit it in a way that has momentum and speed.
Yeah.
But it was just a camera. I think part of it was a camera and mic on me, no crew.
Yes.
They sent me off.
Mhm.
And it was great because I hate crews. You know, these people. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that later. But
No, I do remember that. Well, one, I'm barely in this sketch. But I will say one thing that we established in this sketch are these little Easter eggs. So you pass Tony, my feminist bookstore character, you get on the Portland light rail Max, your character, Spike, and I'm standing there. And then also you pass the mayor.
mhm.
And we have Kyle say something to you. So that's something that we end up utilizing a lot. It's just trying to build connectivity,
Yeah.
and build this connection between all the characters so that it feels like a place.
Yeah.
That it's not always just everyone doesn't exist in a vacuum. Like, no, this is a city. There's a chance everything could cross over. But I also want to bring up the gauges in your ears, which
Oh, yeah.
that was the first time you'd done that and
Mhm.
a real arduous process.
That I think we dropped after a while.
Well, you definitely did.
It was just too much work.
I mean, they have a specific. I mean, we need them for the scene. The button of the scene is that your gauge gets caught on the
We threw it out
on
after
the
a
door,
while.
but that was a lot for you.
So it was like prosthetic earlobes,
Yep.
Blended into my ear so that it looks a certain way, and they had to hold the weight of these gauges.
Yeah.
So it just became, they I think kind of fall. Also, gluing them and blending them just took a really long time. Nobody's fault. That's just how prosthetics work, and it just took up so much of the day that eventually we were like, let's just miraculously, all of a sudden, he just won't have these anymore. I think we did it a couple more times and then just stopped.
Yeah, and I'll have examples of that as we do this podcast. Like, yeah, we're I think with Lance, well, I guess we'll talk about him in another episode again. But you used to do certain things for my
Yep.
male character Lance that after a while I was like, you know what? I think I can do this exact character without all this other stuff that we
Yeah.
were doing at the
Yeah.
beginning. And the other thing about I think Bicycle Rights is it became one of those sketches that we repeated in terms of the pacing. Again, just that really percussive editing, lots of drums, it just, it's a way of pacing something up. And I like when I'm watching the show and, as we go back, I'm like, oh yeah, like coming out of a more narrative, Song for Portland part 1, and then you get to this piece that just really feels like it's music, and I love that in short. I
Yeah.
really like stuff like that.
Same. And did we have a name for that? Didn't we call them like energy pieces or
Yeah, I
something?
think we did energy pieces. Yeah.
Some other thing that we knew it was
Yeah.
that real estate was covered.
Yeah. In the later writing, in later seasons when we were writing, we would put them under these categories.
Yeah.
It would be like wraparound, Tony and Candace sketches, Peter and Nan sketches, and it would be like energy pieces.
Right.
Because we knew, like, they always had a place in the episode.
Yeah.
All right, next we get to Feminist Bookstore. Again, this would have been the pilot Feminist Bookstore.
Yeah.
And this has Aubrey Plaza in it.
Yeah. Like early.
Early. She would have been on Parks and Rec,
Yeah, definitely.
but she's very young here.
And and also she comes back a few times.
Yeah.
And then,
We'll
in-
talk about
in
her
the
later in
series.
this season.
but perfect for the show.
So great. She plays a young college student.
Yeah. Her reactions are great to
Yeah.
everything. She's so funny. And Feminist Bookstore is something that we had been doing on Thunder Ant.
Exactly. So
Or-
these were established characters for us. But this
Maybe-
is the first time that we're doing this, first of all, new location
Mm-hmm.
at In Other Words
Yeah.
in North Portland. I think my glasses are definitely different for Tony. They change after this. And maybe my wig might change too.
Maybe.
Yeah. So things are still, like, if you're watching Portlandia and you watch episode 1, season 1, it has like a sheen to it.
Yeah.
And then the next episode, episode 2, to me,
something.
there's like, oh, okay, they're still
like a
figuring
demo
something out.
tape or something.
Yeah, it's the demo tape. But yes, this sketch has one of my favorite things you do, which is I'm at the full extension of my arm,
Oh yeah.
which is like Aubrey's trying to get this book
Yeah.
and you're reaching for it and you're claiming that you can't reach any further.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Yeah.
I feel like those two just want to make it difficult. They just want to make people's visits to the bookstore difficult.
Yeah. They also get very, very mad about her shorts, which are too short. I actually
Yeah.
I think I asked where her pants are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these are pretty improvised.
Oh, yes. I would say out of all of our sketches,
These are just made up as
yes.
we're going
I mean,
along.
there's a little bit of an outline. And I will say in this episode, you know, Portlandia has countless guest stars. And every guest star, whether it's a local actor or someone we're flying in, special guest star, has a different relationship to improv and their comfort with it.
Yeah.
And but Aubrey is someone, you know, very comfortable with it. Kyle was surprisingly really comfortable with
Yep.
it. And that's always really helpful because it allows us to play and, you know, we're not worried about like the length of a scene. We know it can get cut down and we get to explore. Sometimes we find the scene. Sometimes we'll have an
Yeah.
idea for a scene
Yeah.
and it ends up being something else. Like the tangent sort of becomes the center because we go off on some, you know, little side road and we're like, oh, that's the sketch.
Yeah.
And
But these took up some time.
Ooh,
we,
yeah.
we would shoot for a while on these.
yeah, one, because, you know, unlike sort of bicycle rides where you're all over the city, we're just you know, we're on location.
Yeah.
We're just in this store. You know, we always start at the counter.
Mhm.
That's a really long take. Sometimes those takes are 30 minutes.
Yeah.
40 minutes. Yeah.
A
It
long
can be pretty
ways.
long. We, you know, always had 3 cameras. We were always cross shooting.
Mhm.
With improv, you really need to do that because what you never want to have happen is to be shooting in one direction and getting Fred and he's going off on all this improv. And then someone like the script supervisor is like, oh my God, he's saying all these things. There's not in the script, writing it down. And then the camera turns around to do my coverage and they're feeding, you know, script supervisor is saying, okay, Fred, you said,
Yeah.
and then I have to then make up a reaction that is less authentic than my original one. So if we're not capturing all of it when it happens, it's sort of useless. You know, a lot of DPs don't like to cross shoot because you sacrifice a little bit on the light, but like for us, it was all about making sure we got everything in the moment. We often had a third camera. We often had more cameras if
Yeah.
we needed to, but usually we were a 3 camera setup, cross shooting, and then like a wider, you know,
Yeah.
2-shotter master. Yeah.
So she runs out of there, and then all our endings were like that. Someone just sort of running out, or
Well, this is what would establish all the endings being like that. Is that
yeah, just someone getting fed up or whatever. And then we're back to Song for Portland.
Yeah. So now we're like off to the races. Fred and Carrie, we're like calling each other. And again, this is really what we had already done. This
Yes.
exact part in
Yeah.
Thunder Ant in our little sketch thing that we did for each other back in the day. We were sort of recreating that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, now when I watch it, sometimes I could feel that, like when we were shooting it,
hmm
I wanted to make the crew laugh. And this is just, you know, there's no way to have known. I just wish I had made different musical choices. Although that might have been boring.
hmm
That it probably would have been boring. It's just that now I'm like, I just wish it was something where I was just playing one chord,
Right. Right.
or that wasn't a joke on anything.
You know what? I have a similar feeling about wanting the music part of it to be more interesting, but I feel like I didn't have that same instinct in terms of wanting to make the crew laugh. I just wish that like I could feel the songs really trying.
Yes.
Like I could feel us trying here in a way where we're like we're writing funny music.
Right.
It's like just write like this. Yeah,
Exactly.
it's a hat on a hat here. It was
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the way around it, but
yeah. It didn't need to be this. We could have done. We could have. It could have been sincere.
I would have preferred it if it was just us really just trying because the idea is we do want it to be a song for Portland. So you don't, it should feel serious.
Yeah, I know. Let's go back and redo it.
I guess we could overdub.
I will just point out that Ian Carmel plays my boyfriend here. And Ian is a stand-up, a very successful writer here in Los Angeles now. But this is when he still lived up in Portland.
And he gets electrocuted at the end.
He gets electrocuted, fake electrocuted at the end of this bit. Oh, here they come, Kath and Dave.
Kath and Dave. I feel like when we do, oh, by the way, just to highlight some voices, as was pointed out, a lot of our characters, many of our characters, have slight alterations of our voices. Sure. I feel like when I watch it, I'm like, well, it kind of sounds like us. And for the Feminist Bookstore, Candace is just like a version like this, just like a little angrier. Just like, and then with Kath and Dave, same thing. Like it's like a more male kind of anger.
Yeah.
But that's like we address a whole room. We address it like it's like a bigger space.
Yeah. For me, Tony, Feminist Bookstore, is a little bit quieter. Hey, Candace. And then Kath, I think of her as stentorian. It's just very, I mean, I hate to even do Kath indoors because it's like...
It's as loud as can be.
It's ear-shattering.
Yeah.
But it's pretty loud.
It's funny that they're confrontational, but still supportive of each other. I don't think I've ever seen that I can remember in our sketches where I'm trying to calm you down.
They're so combative like, with everything but each other.
Yeah.
You know, like yelling is their love language.
Yelling
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Kath, they put my hair back in the pone. And to me, once the pone is on, I'm just Kath.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just that active gear, you know, like a utility vest and like shorts and shoes.
Really prepared.
They're very prepared. Yeah. Anyway, but they're always incensed. So in this sketch, they're sitting at a restaurant outside. They see a dog that's tied up to a pole. This ruins their lunch. And so they are asking everyone.
Yeah, whose dog is this?
Yeah. And I remember at the time, I was volunteering at the Humane Society. In fact, before Portlandia started, so it was kind of when my band Slater Kinney had sort of gone on hiatus. We were like sort of on this break. We had kind of burnt out. We'd been touring for like 10 years. And in this hiatus period is when we pitched Portlandia, but also when I was working, first volunteering, then working at the Oregon Humane Society. I was so dedicated. I was volunteer of the year. And then I started working as an assistant dog trainer. So I was like working in their reactive dog classes, which are their dogs that have, on-leash reactivity. I mean, I was very involved. So I remember when we were asking people to be in this sketch, my friend Sue Lay, it's her dog, Lucy, plays Tucker, the dog. I see Sue, and she's one of the women sitting outdoors in the cafe.
Okay.
There's Kaya Wilson from
Yep.
Team Dresch. She's a guitarist, singer, songwriter. It's always fun to sort of look around just how much not even just in early seasons, but particularly in early seasons, it was just like, hey, calling a friend, texting a friend.
Yeah.
Do you want to come do this? And it was really fun. But anyway, so that dog, Lucy, plays Tucker.
Is Sarah Lund's baby in?
And Sarah Lund, who's a great drummer in Unwound.
Yeah.
Her son is the baby at the end.
Who's tied up.
That's after all of us, all our self-righteous yelling at
everybody.
Around. We've actually had our son tied up around the corner while we eat. Spoiler alert, we're terrible people.
Yeah.
Everything's
an issue. Nina and Lance, Cacao, that's our next sketch.
This is another, I will say, episode 2, Put a Bird on It and Cacao became like signature. Again, probably like 2 things that Portlandia is known for. Like if someone was just gonna, name 5 to 10 things,
This
I
would
feel
be
like
up there.
Cacao for sure, and Put a Bird on It.
And the way that
Yeah.
the way that this I interrupted
Oh no,
you.
go ahead.
The way that this sketch came about is that we were going to do something about wine,
Ooh.
like wine tastings. What
Yes.
about the world of wine? It's so pretentious. And we couldn't figure it out. We couldn't figure out what the joke was. So we'd have a card or whatever that says wine tasting or
Yeah, like a little index card that you
Yeah.
use as you're in the writer's room.
what are we going to do? And then it became Cacao. Like,
Yeah.
how about those people who are really into chocolate and
Yeah.
the cacao content? Still couldn't break it. Still couldn't figure
Well,
out
we're
what
like,
the
what's
joke
the
was.
story?
So
Like,
what?
who cares?
And then it became, oh, what if that's a safe word?
Yeah.
I don't know how that jump happened, and then from there, it was like, what if the characters, we just reverse genders?
Yeah. And we went for it. This is like the most we went for it with Nina and Lance. I
Yeah.
remember this is like, I mean, here we are making a sketch show. And I just remember when we were doing the bedroom scene, and it was just like a closed set.
Mm-hmm.
It was, my character Lance is wearing boxers. They had like stuffed like a sock or something. I mean, I was like packing basically.
Mhm.
Like I had put, my breasts were bound. So I was really like, my breathing felt kind of constrained. They had put armpit hair on me, sideburns, a mustache. I mean, we went for it. Like we were like, and I just remember it was a little bit sexy up in this room. Like there was like,
It was an attic.
it was in, yeah.
Or it was upstairs
It
somewhere
was like
and
this
warm.
attic, and like there was like cigarette smoke and like a record player. And it just, I was like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
why are we shooting a sex scene right now? Like
Yeah.
it just felt, it was a lot. Like, I couldn't predict on any given day how it was going to feel, where we're going to go. And like this, I just remember feeling very surprised. Like, how did we get here? Like,
Yeah.
a couple of days ago, I'm like putting birds on things. And now I'm like, I've got,
You're like,
fake junk in my
doing it
pants.
to me.
Yeah. And I'm doing it to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there was the other element of our voices. So
Yes.
I don't know if we got there yet, but eventually they would pitch our voices, digitally, lower for you, higher for me.
Yeah.
But shooting it, we still had that.
had a different voice.
And mine was kind of like this. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know, Lance. Like,
Yeah.
it was like almost cartoony.
Yeah. And I was just
Yeah,
like,
that's right. It was more like
yeah.
Lance knows Cacao. Cacao.
I was just slower. I was like,
Yeah.
hey, Nina. Like,
Yeah.
and also what I said too was always like, there's another sketch later. and
I know
I'm
which
just
one
like,
you're talking about.
good girls wait.
Yep.
I'm like, what? Where'd that come from? Good girls wait for what? The bus? Like, I was like, there was just, the mustache came on and I just was like a different person. Like, I just
Oh,
was
it's
like,
the
the
best.
sleaze factor, like, just went really
Oh, I love that character
through the
so
roof.
much.
So we, in order to establish that Cacao was going to be our safe word, we had to establish that we had a sex life. So
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would say the joke in the sketch is that I keep saying Cacao.
yeah, until it becomes less about, sex and more just about you communicating boundaries and eventually you just pushing Lance away.
Yeah.
Like it's not even boundaries. It's just like, I don't want to talk to you. I don't have time for you. And then Lance feels, alienated and leaves. And then it's Cacao to Cacao, which is a great line.
Yeah, it's a nice little ending to the sort of like,
Yeah.
it's almost sitcom-y.
But the ending is actually, and I like these kinds of endings where it deviates completely from Lance and Nina, and you're playing at a little
I forgot about that. That's right.
cafe.
Little Brazilian music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's singing about Cacao.
Yeah. Which I love.
I feel like we didn't do that much on this show. Or maybe we did. I don't know. When I saw it,
I found it very satisfying. It's sort of just like,
it goes
Yeah.
someplace else.
it's sort of like zooms out.
Another technical thing is we weren't allowed to talk over each other.
Yes, because
we had to take turns all the time.
Right,
because of the pitching.
They knew, because of the pitching. Yeah. Another, I guess, a thing that I remember John directing me to do over and over again. We're making love in front of the fire, and you say cacao. I'm like thrusting, and I remember every time you say cacao, I'm supposed to say something. And one time I just say, row your boat. I don't know why. But I was like, I don't know where that came from. But yes, anyway, so that's cacao. And I will just, going back to put a bird on it, these are two things. Like, I remember seeing both these phrases a lot. Like, it just, in popular culture, after this show came out, I remember I would see, like, in the New York Times, they would do an article and they'd be like, put a bow on it, or put a, like, it became a put a blank on it just for a while was like really a thing. And then cacao, I remember it kind of, not that it ruined that word, but like, I feel like for people who are fans of the show, suddenly cacao, which for so long had just meant one thing, now had this other meaning. And I mean, that's one of the joys of doing this show, and something that's very unreal about it, that, it becomes part of like cultural parlance, that things that you're just having fun with and making up in a writer's room.
Kind of unexpected to see. By the way, we were going to call this podcast Cacao to, well, we had a number of names.
Yeah.
And one of them up there was Cacao to Cacao.
Yeah, Cacao to Cacao.
But we thought it might be confusing
with the other Cacao podcasts. Cacao. Okay. And finally, we're at the end of this episode, Song for Portland Part 3. And this, again, a classic way to end a 3-parter, which is to take a sharp left. And you're like, oh, this is going to be the culmination of this song. We're going to finally hear it. Nope. It's going to become about something totally different. We are going to digress. We are going to get in the weeds on something very specific. And we do. We cannot play the song for the mayor because he doesn't have the right dongle.
And it might have even come from how much we had to deal with that. Something won't play because it's like the wrong format. I'll add to that I think is kind of still with us a little bit today, maybe less so, but there is a lot of like, don't send it as this kind of file, send it as that kind of file.
Yeah.
And we really get into it with cables and with the real mayor of Portland, Sam Adams, who's in this.
Yeah.
Also helping with Wi-Fi passwords, with dongles, with all that stuff. I really was happy with this ending of the sketch. I just like where it went to.
Yeah. And they bring in my real guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I must have brought it to set, my Guild S100. And then eventually they play over the credits.
Yeah.
The song that we actually wrote and recorded for this episode.
That's right.
Which is a very earnest, it's actually none of the silly lyrics that we put in part 2. It's real, it's a real song with sweet lyrics about what we love about Portland.
Yeah. And I'm glad we recorded it. And that was ready to go. I also liked at the end of the sketch, as I was watching it, you get a guitar. And I remember thinking, oh, don't just bring in some drum set. And it was a marching drum. I was like, okay, that makes sense in it.
Yeah.
I was happy that I wanted to go back in time and just tell the art department, like, thank you for like making that realistic.
Yeah.
Which I guess I can do now. Art department, thank you. That's a private message that does not go out online. Just send it to them, please.
All right. Yeah, thanks for listening. This was a big episode because, again, this was the original pilot. So there's just a lot of feelings, a lot of memories, because essentially this is the first thing, this is the original Portlandia. This is us figuring it out in Song for Portland.
Yep. So thanks for watching and listening.
Yeah.
On to the next.
If you guys are open to this.
Sure.
Carrie, love to hear more about your Guild S100. Were you playing on set? Did you guys jam between takes and stuff?
Oh no, I wish it was just more about it.
Oh, which one? When her guitar was?
Yeah.
Oh,
it might. Was it plugged in? Was it? Did we know? Were we prepared for it to be that weren't really playing?
I think we weren't going to really play.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
But we could talk about it
But
anyway.
maybe. Yeah. I mean, my Guild S100, I love that guitar because Kim Thale from Soundgarden played a Guild S100. It basically looks exactly like a Gibson SG, which is one of my favorite guitars. Some people don't like SGs because the weight on it kind of tips. It has a kind of uneven weight distribution. I find it to be very playable, and I can move with the Gibson SG very well. In fact, because it has a tilt to it, to me, there's a fluidity. I'm always already in motion when I put that on. And that's how I like to play. It's very physical. So the Guild S100 is a much heavier version of the SG, and it has a giant Bigsby whammy bar. It's a vibrato bar, but it has a really heavy, dirty tone. So I really have always loved that guitar, and I will blend it into, like on a live show, I'll bring it out for a couple songs when I really want like a dirty, corrosive sound. But I would say very few guitarists are associated with that. I think Kim Thale from Soundgarden is one of the only people.
Oh, you mean not SGs, but Guild.
Oh, sorry, the Guild
Yeah.
S100. Very few. Oh, yeah, the SG, of course. Many people associated with SG, but the Guild S100, I can't think of too many people besides Kim. And I should say Guild has been really nice to me because they are like, yeah, so few people are fans of this guitar, like historically. And so they're always excited when I play it. But yeah, and you know what's weird? I am surprised that's the guitar that I brought out for Portlandia because it's actually not great for that character. It must have been the closest thing I had on hand. Like when I was watching this episode and I see the guitar, I'm like, that one? Like I have guitars that look less tough. And it seems like the character of Carrie would have had a way different kind of guitar. So I do wonder what was going on, if that was just like not in the Sleater-Kinney storage space or conveniently at my house. But I really went with something very, very rock and roll for that scene in the mayor's
Wow.
office.
God, if there was a podcast of just you talking about guitars or like that, that's all I would listen to. That's the best. I want to know about that. Thank you for prompting that. Mamma mia. One time, I'll add to that. I don't think I ever told you this. You know, we did Portlandia live.
Yeah. Oh wait, the first version of it.
No, the most recent one.
Oh, okay.
We did a couple shows.
Yeah.
We're doing sound check,
Mm-hmm.
and you had two monitor speakers.
Mm-hmm.
We had a drum machine going through,
Mm-hmm.
and you were like okay, can you bring up the drum machine, but not in both. You were like just in this one, not that one.
Mm-hmm.
There was like a wisdom and authority that you had to like, I could see a person who's been through a lot of monitor mixes in you. So
Thank you.
I was like, I was like amazed at you. I was like, oh, she really knows what she's talking about. Because your tone was even the volume at which you spoke to the sound person was just like, but not in this one, just this one.
Well,
like you really know what you're doing.
Well, I think with monitor mixes, what I like, and it's even easier with inner monitors, is spatially you want it to make sense. So like to me, like I don't need, like if I'm playing with a guitarist, if I'm stage right and they're stage left and I'm getting their guitar in my monitor, I only want it in my left ear, because that's how it is on stage. So like I just try to create this spatial reality, and whether it's in wedge monitors or inner monitors. And because it was electronic drums, and I just couldn't have that be stereo. Like I really needed to make that smaller and not like take up, both monitors. You know what I mean?
Meaning that it would just overwhelm everything else?
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that some of the frequencies would bump up against like vocals, because they're not acoustic drums. It's just, and plus it's just so unidirectional with wedge monitors. These are like the monitors that are on the stage, as opposed to like a lot of musicians you'll see where basically inner monitors. You see most singers you see on TV, you see these things that look like earplugs in their ears. But those you can really shape, really EQ a lot.
Like with your own mix or whatever.
Yeah. with a lot more like subtlety and specificity. But yeah, I mean, I think that stuff can really affect how you play. We did not have any of that on Portlandia. We were just
Yeah.
messing around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pete Townsend had this thing for his mix, for his monitor mix, where he spaced out the monitors on stage. And for his mix, he could walk towards whatever he wanted louder.
Oh, geez.
So it's more just a physical, immediate mixing.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I wonder if he must be trying to recreate like the feeling of moving towards
Yeah.
an actual instrument or amp, you know,
As
like,
opposed to having to say,
yeah,
can you turn this up or whatever.
yeah. Because it is like there's a version of how you hear music in your body. You know, you're like, oh, this is how the music is supposed to feel. And then when you get on stage, it's very disorienting because you're contending with the room and the acoustics and like the subwoofers, sub speakers under the stage. Like there's just all this. I mean, there's a lot. And so I think that's what's hard about going into different spaces. You're like, oh, this isn't how I thought this was going to sound. And so you just spend all of sound check, like trying to recreate, like, no, I need it to sound the way I imagine it. Like this is, and so I bet for someone like him, very particular, obviously had a lot of resources. He probably just spent a lot of time like trying to figure out like, this is how it sounds in my body, in my head. Like, how can I make a physical representation of that?
Yeah.
Like now I'm sure like a really skilled inner monitor person could do that for him. But actually a lot of guitar players, including myself, I don't love inner monitors for guitar.
Really?
It takes all the resonance out. You know, like it's really hard.
You can't, if you're close enough to the amp, can you feel the resonance of it? Or is it just
Not
block
in
it
the
out?
same. Not in the same.
Man.
Yeah.
But
Anyway.
but also we should be clear for anyone listening, we don't want to be disparaging about in-ear monitors. The in-ear monitor companies,
They are doing great.
well,
Oh my gosh.
but we support you guys and we know you worked on your technology of this and, you know, we respect what you do.
I have zero worries.
Thank you guys. And one more. Carrie, would you mind prompting Fred with the question? What do you think Tony and Candace would feel about having a podcast? Or if they had a podcast, what would it sound like?
Oh,
if
great.
You guys were a little bit?
Sure.
So Fred, if Tony and Candace had a podcast, or what do they? So Fred, do you think Tony and Candace would be into having a podcast?
Well, luckily for the world, at the time, there weren't many podcasts. It wasn't around as much.
They would have like a radio show.
Oh, right. I guess it'd be more of a radio show. But
Mhm.
they would love nothing more than to be able to talk in an official capacity with microphones. In a way, the bookstore was a sort of radio show. They really just, they made their opinions known all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the bookstore was kind of a performance space for them. You know, I
It
mean,
was
I
like a
think
little stage.
yeah, so many of our characters, I think, are performing at something. You know,
Yeah.
they're turning everything. Like Kath and Dave. I mean, they're like, great, here's our stage.
Yeah.
Here's our captive audience.
Yeah, everywhere they go.
Yeah, everywhere they go.
And yeah, they would have loved it. They would have definitely a radio show or a radio show couched in a podcast or something. But
Yeah.
and also I think they would be good together.
hmm
Candace going off for a while and then Tony going off for a while and
Yeah.
just ranting
Yeah.
with certainty.
With certainty. hmm
And I think if they had guests,
hmm
they would barely let them speak.
Yeah.
In fact, their guests wouldn't have a microphone. Their guests would just sit there and they would just talk at the guest. What do you think? You agree, right? Yep, they agree. That's what I think.